Hello to all of those great people out there. Today, we're going to do 5 creepy pastas that would scare you. Number 5, Squidward. As you may be aware, SpongeBob SquarePants is a popular animated TV series that is broadcasted on Nickelodeon. It began airing in 1999 and featured cartoon characters such as SpongeBob and his friends with tentacles, Squidward. It is one of the Nickelodeon's highest rated shows and is currently the longest running series on the channel. Despite being one of the best loved cartoons on TV, few people are aware of the very disturbing incidents that occur in Nickelodeon's animated studios. During the production of the series a few years ago, in 2005, Nickelodeon Animated Studios had completed producing on the SpongeBob movie, and the entire staff was somewhat sapped of creative, so it took them longer to begin work on their new season on TV episodes. The delay lasted much longer than it should have due to a very upsetting problem with the first episode in season 4. The lead animators and sound editors were in the editing room reviewing the final cut of SO4E01. They received a copy of the episode and gathered around the screen to watch. The title of the episode is supposed to be Fear of the Krabby Patty. But when the title card came up on the screen, it read Squidward Suicide. Everyone in the room was more than a little confused. The SpongeBob SquarePants theme tune played as usual, and the episode began with Squidward practicing on his clarinet. Hitting a few sour notes, SpongeBob was laughing at Squidward stopped playing to yell at him to keep it down, as he had a concert last night and needed to practice. SpongeBob said okay and went with Patrick to see Sandy. The bubbles splashed screen came up, followed by the end of Squidward's concert. It was at the point that the episode began to get very strange. As Squidward's concert ended, there was a disconcerting murmuring in the crowd, and then began to boo him loudly. Squidward looked visibly afraid. SpongeBob was standing in front of the crowd, and he, too, was booing. Even more odd was the fact that all the characters had hyper-realistic eyes. They were very detailed. Their pupils were red. The next scene shows Squidward sitting on the edge of his bed looking very depressed. The forlorn. Behind him is a porthole window. A during night sky could be seen. The unseating part was that there was no sound. Squidward just sat in the silence for about 30 seconds when he started to sob softly. Then he put his tentacles over his eyes and cried quietly for a few minutes. The sound grew louder and louder. A silent breeze, sobbing, grew louder and louder, full of hurt, and the anger. The sound of the wind became more severe, as if it was a storm was brewing. Very frightening. In the background, something surrounded the light. How laughter could be heard. It came at odd. Never lasted more than a seconds. After 30 seconds of the video, the screen blurred and twitched violently, and something flashed over the screen as a single frame was been replaced. The lead animation editors paused the video and rewound it frame by frame. Suddenly, something horrible flashed upon the screen. It was a little young boy. His face was mangled and bloody, and one of his eyeballs were dangling out of the socket. His stomach was sliced open. The editors gathered around the screen couldn't believe what they were seeing. They pressed the play on the continue to watch the video, hoping that it was all just some sick joke. Number 4. No End House. This story begins very brutally, but scary. Alright. It was the day before Halloween. I first heard about the No End House from a friend of mine. He told me that it was a legendary haunted house attraction that was said to be the largest and scary in the country. Everybody had heard about it, but nobody seemed to know where it was. My friend told me he had found it. The rules were pretty simple. You pay $20 to enter the attraction. The building contained 9 rooms in all. If you manage to reach the final room, you win $500. The only catch was nobody had ever managed to make it all the way through the end. That's why they called it No End House. My friend told me he tried to complete the house and failed miserably. He said the haunted house attracted the location roughly 4 miles outside the city and drew me a map. It 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 chose my interest and told him I would check it out the next night. I turned to leave, he grabbed me by the arm and tried to convince me not to go. He said that it was unnatural, that the things the house contained would be too much for anyone to endure. I didn't believe him, and no matter how hard he tried to convince me not to go there, my mind was made up. Winning $500 to complete a haunted house sounded too good to be true. The next night, I followed the map he'd drawn and arrived to the no-end house. Just as the sun was setting, I immediately felt that there was something strange, unnatural about to happen. I got a sicking in my pit of my stomach. From the outside, it didn't look like that scary, yet for some reason it sent a chill down my spine. The feeling only inks a lot as approached the haunted house and opened the front door. Stepping inside, I let out a sigh of relief of the interaction. The entrance hall looked normal, like a hotel lobby decorated for Halloween. There was a sight post on the wall that read, "Leave $20 in the tray below and proceed to the room 1. 8 more followed. Reach the end and you win $500. With an easy chuckle, I placed my money in the tray under the sign and paid up to the stairs. The first room was completely let down. It almost laughable. It resembling of a children ghost train at a fun fair, complete with white sheet ghosts hanging from the ceiling, and mechanic zombies that launched forward and gave an unconvincing moan as you passed them. I brushed aside the fake spider webs and headed for the door at the far end of the room. Upon entering the second room, I was greeted by a thick fog. A rubber bat hung from the ceiling and flew around in the ceiling wide circle. Some haunting music played on a loop in the background. I stepped over the few toy rats and raced back and forth across the room and opened the door to the next room. At first glance, room 3 appeared to be just a normal room. It was surprisingly furnished with a wooden floor in the middle of the floor, a single lamp in the corner that did a poor job of lighting the area. It took me a few minutes to realize that there was something not quite right about the room. The light cast a shadow across the floor and walls. But the problem was there was too many shadows. I couldn't see the shadows of the chairs against the walls, but there were other shadows beside it that no business being there. Then I happened to look down at my feet. My shadow wasn't there. At the moment, a vague and forbidden feeling of impending doom gripped my heart, and my courage destroyed. Reaching beside me, I tried to open up the door. I hadn't just come through. In my surprise, when I realized it was locked, I didn't have the option to retreating. The only thing I could do was walk across the room to the other door and press on further into the house. The further room was possibly a most disturbing. There was no light. The door behind him closed automatically, and I felt left standing there in complete darkness. It was pitch black, and I couldn't see a thing. I was scared to move. I'm not afraid of dark, and never have been, but there was something about the particular darkness. Darkness doesn't describe it fully. It was a upseed of everything. There was just a dead silence. I couldn't hear a thing. I couldn't even hear myself breathe. It was the sound of death. Hello guys, thank you for listening to this video. Sorry there was only 2, I couldn't do 5. And the story that you heard, well, there's more to it, but it's a very long, it goes down, like, if you were going to go 200 pages, so, yeah, but, I hope you enjoyed the video today. Subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to hear more creepypastas. I'll try to do more in the next video. I couldn't do it right now because it's kind of hard finding creepypastas. But if you have any creepypastas, please let me know in the comments. Please subscribe for more. And always stay cool.